Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you again today for the top 20 best albums of 2018. So I'm going to discuss from 20 to 11 for the first part and let you know why I put them at that spot. So let's hop into this. At number 20, we have Godsmack When Legends Rise. Now this was like a fan-made album for the fans mostly, but it was entertaining for the most part. There were some melodic sounds in there that didn't do so well, like with Take It to the Edge, and Every Part of Me almost sounded similar with its kind of tone in the song mostly in those songs, but they didn't do awful bad. They were just melodic kind of sounds. But my favorite tracks on there were Let It Out, Someday, Say My Name, Bulletproof, When Legends Rise, and I think Under Your Scars. Moving on from that, but I put Godsmack at number 20 because it needed to be at that spot. Just felt like the kind of album to put it at that spot. But moving on from that, at number 19 we have Alkaline Trio, Is This Thing Cursed? This one was actually not a bad album. There were some slow jams to really enjoy. I think my favorite tracks on here were Demon and Division, Is This Thing Cursed, Goodbye Fire Island, Sweet Vampires, and Crystalline. Even though Crystalline had a long pause at the end of with the weird sounds at the end of the song, it was still really good, and I think this was a really good album, and it made it at my number 19. Number 18, Avatar Country. This came out on January 12th this year, but it did really good. It was a pretty good album mostly. There were tracks that I liked, like I Am the Harvest, or The King's Harvest. I was saying it wrong. King's Harvest, Statue of a King, The King Wants You, and the last song on there on the album was pretty good. I can't remember the name of it, but it was pretty good. You might have to remind me in the comments below, because I've kind of forgotten about it. I've listened to so many albums this year that it's kind of a blank page now with some albums I've listened to. But it made it at my number 18 because it was a good album. Number 17, Mike Shinoda, Post Traumatic. This was an album dedicated to Chester Bennington, who passed away last year in July, which was really awful and really horrible. Suicide is something to take seriously, because it's like an illness that physically bothers you, and it's a bitch. But on to the album and discussing about why I put it at this spot. It felt kind of a bore at times with some songs, but overall there were some tracks I really did like Ghost, Running from My Shadow was my favorite. Nothing Makes Sense Anymore. And I think Hold It Together was another good one. World's on Fire wasn't a bad one too. But this album made it at my number 17 because it was a pretty good album about dealing with depression and trying to see the happier side of that darkness. So, good kudos to Mike Shinoda for making this record. You did a good job, bro. Number 16, Under Oath, Erase Me. This was a really good album. This talked about religion and losing your faith, mostly with this record. So it basically spawns on religion. Like, talks about more religious beliefs and losing your faith. But overall, this album was great. A lot of good, heavy songs to really enjoy. And a lot of good sounds in each song. They really delivered very good. Aaron Gillespie's drumming in this album was just fantastic. And Spencer's vocals in this was like everywhere with most of these tracks. So kudos to these guys for making this record. You did a good job. And it made it at my number 16. Number 15 is As It Is, The Great Depression. Wow, this album talked about mental illness and talked about a poet going through his dark times with suffering through depression mostly and trying to get out of that dark place or whatever. But this album did really good. I liked The Hurt, The Hope on this record. This was my favorite song on it. What else? The Wounded World was a good one. Stigma, Boys Don't Cry was another favorite. And The Handwritten Letter. And The Reaper as well was a good one. But I think The Hurt, The Hope was a favorite. And it made it at my number 15. At number 14, we have Jonathan Davis, Black Labyrinth. This one was a great album that mostly talked about weird depression. It had a lot of weird, chilling vibes listening to this record, but I liked, crap, I can't remember the song. Basic Needs was my favorite. Medicate was something I can definitely relate to, where you have to medicate yourself to numb the brain. But it's a very relatable song, but it made it at my number 14. At number 13 is David Guetta, 7. This album was spot on good. A lot of good party songs to jam out to. Motto was my favorite one. She Knows How to Love Me was a good one. And Drive was another good one. There were a lot of tracks to offer with this dubstep record, and it did very good, and it made it at my number 13. Number 12 is Post Malone, Beer Pongs and Bentleys. A good album to really enjoy. I thought it was a good album. Most critics say it's not a great album, but fuck what the critics think. I thought this was a good record. And Sugar Wraith was my least favorite on this, but overall, this album had a lot to deliver. Other Side was my favorite song. Blame It On Me was my favorite. Taking Shots, Rockstar. Psycho was another good one. And Candy Paint was another favorite. So it made it up my number 12. And at number 11, we have Ice Nine Kills The Silver Scream. This was a Halloween kind of album or whatever to celebrate Halloween, Christmas, and the New Year mostly. So this was a holiday kind of album to really enjoy. And it was a good album. There were a lot of cringiness songs that got really weird and kind of far-fetched, and some of its lyrics and all that. Like, Enjoy Your Sleigh was a lot of weird lyricism and pretty sick lyricism. But overall, it was a good song. Freak Flag was good. The World in My Hands was a favorite. Merry Xmas was a favorite too. The American Nightmare, Thank God It's Friday, Savages. I wouldn't say Stabbing in the Dark was my favorite, but it was not too bad. I think Savages was my favorite. Mess with the horns and you get the devil. That's my favorite line in that song. A good song I can jam out to, and this album made it up my number 11. That is going to be it for the first part of this review. Comment below, let me know what you thought of this first part of the review. I will return to you for the second part of the top 20 best albums of 2018 review. So thanks for watching the first part, and I'll see you in the next one.